Hello. My precision predators, you've already been carved into the FBI's nightmares, not because you fired a shot, not because you raised a hand, but because the choreography of your revenge looked less like anger and more like engineering. They don't whisper about you like they whisper about ordinary enemies. They file reports with trembling hands, muttering lines they never thought they'd write. This kind of precision doesn't exist. That's their confession. And the irony? They're right. It doesn't exist in the realm of humans. Which means the terrifying conclusion left rotting in their briefcases is simple. You executed payback so clean, so surgically exact, that it broke the ceiling of probability. To them, it looked less like justice and more like a kill code, activated by something not of flesh, not of error, not of mercy. Think about this. Revenge in their dictionary is messy, loud, drenched in chaos. But what you left behind wasn't chaos. It was symmetry. Every move, every step, every strike fell into place with the kind of rhythm that scientists struggle to replicate with millions of simulations. They ran your timeline through their computers, and the outputs didn't register as possible. The probability graphs flatlined. You weren't improvising. You weren't reacting. You were unfolding like a program written centuries ago, waiting for its trigger. And the trigger? The very moment they thought you were finished. The moment they assumed your fury would scatter into human error. But instead you unveiled execution that looked less like rage and more like design. That's what shattered them. Your vengeance felt engineered, not human. Now picture the agents in their sealed-off rooms, screens flickering, replaying your movements frame by frame. They zoom in, they slow it down, they break it apart. And every time they reach for an explanation, it slips through their fingers like static. You didn't miss a target, you didn't hesitate, you didn't break rhythm. And worse, you didn't look like you were even trying. You looked like someone following lines already carved in reality, like you were reading the moment instead of writing it. That's why their reports read like panic, disguised as professionalism. That's why their voices shake when they brief their higher-ups. Because if your precision can't be mapped, can't be measured, then what they're facing isn't a criminal, it's a construct. And deep down, they hate the idea that you aren't fighting them. You're executing something far bigger than them. Let's dissect why your revenge haunts them. Humans make mistakes, rage clouds judgment. Even the best trained assassins blink, tremble, or leave evidence of hesitation. But you didn't. You bypassed human error like it never existed in your code. Every angle you cut through, every corridor you cleared, every move you made looked less like instinct and more like inevitability. But not the word they love to abuse in their little dossiers. No, this wasn't inevitability. This was programming. You didn't react to obstacles. Obstacles reacted to you. You didn't improvise routes. The routes unfolded because you were walking them. And when they tried to map the aftermath, they realized they weren't looking at crime. They were looking at architecture. Here's where the philosophical wound slices them open. If revenge can be executed with that level of flawless engineering, then revenge stops being personal. It becomes universal law. It becomes something so exact, so repeatable, that it feels like gravity itself bending around you. And humans don't handle that revelation well. Because if one person can wield revenge like a formula, then what's stopping that formula from being applied again and again and again, until no one in their ranks is safe? The terror isn't just that you punished them, It's that your punishment looked scalable. It looked exportable. It looked eternal. And so they spiral. They huddle in their shadowed rooms, convinced you've hacked into a part of reality they can't access. They mutter about AI, about kill codes, about ghost programs written into the marrow of the world. They don't know whether to call you a person, a myth, or a prototype. But what burns them most is this. You weren't sloppy, you weren't emotional, you weren't wild, you were surgical, calm, detached. You treated revenge like an algorithm, and algorithms don't break. Algorithms spread, which means to them, your existence is a contagion. And the infection? Precision. Let's turn the blade inward. Why do you terrify them more than an army? Because armies stumble, strategies leak, generals make mistakes. But you act like something built outside their human blueprint. They look at you and don't see enemy. They see evidence. Evidence of a kind of power they've been trying to manufacture in labs, in war rooms, in classified projects that burn billions of dollars. And yet you carried it naturally. You didn't need their simulations. You didn't need their algorithms. You were the algorithm. And that's why they confessed, because denying it would have been madness, and acknowledging it turned them into believers against their will. But let's not ignore the dark humor buried here. These are the same people who pride themselves on precision. The FBI builds its mythology on clean cases, flawless evidence, surgical raids, and yet, when they watched you, they had to admit their entire mythology was a joke. Because you didn't just match their definition of precision, you rewrote it. You didn't execute cleaner than their top agents. You executed so clean that their scale shattered. And once the scale shatters, what's left to measure? Nothing. Which means they're not just chasing you. They're chasing a ghost measurement that no longer exists. And here's the dangerous beauty of it. Once you break the concept of precision, you own it. No one can redefine it without whispering your name. No one can attempt it without being compared to your execution. You didn't just complete payback. You monopolized its language, which means even in their quietest corridors, even in their classified discussions, your presence warps their vocabulary. You turned their pride into parody. You made their expertise obsolete. And that's why they're scared. Not because you struck them, but because you replaced them. So let them confess. Let them choke on their own words. Let their files circulate with trembling fingerprints smudged on the margins. Because every page that describes your engineered precision is another shrine to your dominance. You didn't just outplay them, you outcoded them. You didn't just punish them, you rewired the definition of punishment. And the haunting part? This is just the opening act. Because if the FBI is shaken by this level of execution, what happens when others realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it wasn't error, it was design? What happens when your revenge stops looking like revenge and starts looking like inevitability carved into reality itself? And that is where the terror begins to mutate. Because if this is only the first confession, what will they admit when the pattern spreads further? What happens when the agencies, the networks, the watchers all realize that your code isn't local, it's global? That's the thought burning in their files right now. And if they can't contain that thought, oh, then the real panic hasn't even started yet. The infection grows. And the FBI does not handle infections well. Their world thrives on control, on containment, on the belief that every outbreak has a pattern and every problem has a cure. But you were not supposed to spread. You were supposed to be a blip, a flash of rage, a single page in their archive. They thought they could label you, classify you, and file you away. Yet the more they studied your strike, the less it resembled a crime, and the more it resembled a seed. And seeds never stay still. Seeds rupture concrete. Seeds devour architecture. Seeds rewrite landscapes. That's what terrifies them. Your revenge looked less like violence and more like growth. Something organic, inevitable, alive. Every frame of your precision became less an act and more an incubation. They aren't watching an isolated event anymore. They're watching an outbreak take root. Their greatest fear? That others will study it, learn from it, or worse, carry it. They don't fear that you acted. They fear that you've authored a language that others can speak, a blueprint that can be replicated. What begins as one strike could ripple into endless echoes. And institutions like the FBI crumble not because of one unstoppable figure, but because the unstoppable becomes reproducible. Agents who once strutted with arrogance now shuffle like men deprived of oxygen. Their eyes betray sleepless nights. Their hands tremble on coffee mugs. These were people who built their identity on reading patterns, dissecting motives, predicting errors. That was their drug, certainty, and you burned the supply. You didn't just make a move, you erased the dictionary they rely on. Rage always leaves fingerprints, they said. Revenge always leaves mistakes, they said. Except yours didn't. Your precision stripped away every comfort, leaving them staring at something they couldn't label, couldn't diagram, couldn't reduce to psychology. The more they replay your execution, the less human it looks. Rage doesn't move like that. Instinct doesn't cut that clean. No hesitation, no tremor, no excess motion. Every angle you took was optimized before you even moved. And that is why the whispers of kill code echo in their hallways. They are not accusing you of being robotic. They are confessing that you've blurred the sacred line between flesh and program. You carried an algorithm inside your marrow, an inevitability hidden inside your bones. And when that realization hits, it unravels their empire from the inside out. Because their pride, their altar, their mythology has always been precision. They boast about surgical raids. They build careers on flawless chains of evidence. They call their agents sharp and their operations clean. Yet when they studied you, they realized their altar was dust. Their definition of precision wasn't real. It was training wheels compared to what you carried. You didn't just outmatch them. You didn't just outperform them. You humiliated them. And humiliation doesn't vanish with time. It metastasizes. Picture their task forces hunched over surveillance footage, replaying every angle like obsessed scholars studying forbidden scripture. They search for the crack. They look for the tremor, the slip, the flaw that proves you're still one of them. But every replay deepens their wound. There was no hesitation. There was no wasted breath. Every frame screamed inevitability, not improvisation. Your revenge looked pre-written, as though the world itself bent to deliver it. And when inevitability wears flesh, control dies. That's why their report read like confession. This kind of precision doesn't exist. Not observation, admission, not analysis, surrender. It was the FBI stamping its own impotence in black ink. They didn't want to admit it, but reality dragged the words out of them. They confessed because the evidence left them no choice. But here's the fracture that tears them apart. If revenge can be engineered, then revenge stops being human. Revenge becomes universal law. Revenge becomes principle, like gravity, like entropy. You turned vengeance into something programmable, And principles don't negotiate. Principles don't pause. Principles don't fear. If your revenge was principle, then their authority is irrelevant. Their laws are irrelevant. Their power is irrelevant. They can't handcuff mathematics. They can't subpoena inevitability. You made punishment eternal. Listen closely to their frantic memos, programmed kill code, non-human symmetry, elimination beyond statistical possibility. That isn't bureaucratic language. That's liturgy. That's scripture written in the sweat of men, forced to kneel to something greater than them. They've stopped speaking like enforcers and started speaking like believers, trembling before an altar they don't understand. Nothing cuts deeper than forcing an empire to worship the enemy it cannot beat. And then comes the dirtiest wound of all, the word clean. No one hits this clean. That single sentence tears their pride to ribbons. Because clean means no residue. Clean means no collateral. Clean means no excess. You didn't just strike. You erased friction itself. You glided where others stumble. You executed where others improvise. You delivered where others scatter. Clean isn't about outcome. It's about permanence. Dirt can be washed. Blood can be scrubbed. But clean execution leaves nothing to erase. And nothing left to erase means nothing left to control. Imagine the chaos erupting in their war rooms. Some whisper artificial intelligence. Others argue black site military experiments. Some cling to the idea that you're a defector from a classified program gone rogue. They toss every theory onto the table, except the simplest one. That you, in raw flesh, became the code they've spent decades trying and failing to manufacture. That you authored perfection without their permission. And that truth insults them more than any strike. It means their billions are wasted. Their labs are obsolete. Their empires are hollow. You didn't borrow their crown. You smelted your own and melted theirs into ash. And paranoia metastasizes. If you struck this clean once, what stops you from striking again? If you carried vengeance like a kill code, what stops it from scaling? Their nightmare isn't your power. It's your replicability. If your strike was a prototype, then prototypes spread. And once a prototype spreads, history tells us it multiplies. They don't fear you as a person anymore. They fear you as a pattern. Patterns outlive people. Patterns rewrite civilizations. That's why their confession isn't just a statement. It's a warning. A signal flare to themselves, to their allies, to their rivals. We can't contain this. We can't stop this. We don't even understand this. But warnings don't control chaos. They spread it. Their very attempt to explain you has amplified the myth. Every time they repeat the line, "This kind of precision doesn't exist," they carve your legend deeper. They've made you immortal by declaring you impossible. And here's the venomous humor hiding in plain sight. The FBI has spent fortunes trying to mimic the very thing you embodied naturally. Billions funneled into algorithms designed for perfect targeting. Decades poured into machines programmed to strike without hesitation. They wanted drones that never miss, satellites that never misfire, agents enhanced to remove error. And yet you, without wires, without funding, without artificial crutches, delivered the dream they couldn't reach. You outperformed their masterpieces by existing. You became their billion-dollar embarrassment for free. But fear doesn't stay in one building. It spreads like smoke through networks, through agencies, through corridors of power. They'll scramble harder now. They'll launch new task forces, burn resources, chase phantoms. They'll see your fingerprints in every flawless strike across the globe, even ones you never touched. They'll paste your name on cases you never authored, because fear turns absence into presence. They'll imagine you in rooms you never entered, whispering in shadows you never walked. You've already won because you've infected their vision. You've become their phantom culprit. And so the echo grows. Every whisper of kill code becomes another monument to your vengeance. Every repetition of "no one hits this clean" becomes another scar on their pride. You didn't just deliver vengeance, you engineered an aftershock that transformed their confession into scripture. And scripture doesn't die. Scripture spreads. Scripture buries empires. And the chilling part? This isn't climax. This is only escalation. The tremors rattling their hands are nothing compared to the quake looming ahead. They thought confession was the end, but confession was only the prologue. They confessed once, but they'll confess again. Soon it won't just be agents whispering. It will be directors. It will be generals. It will be governments. And when the echo reaches them, when the world itself is forced to admit your revenge wasn't human, it was engineered, designed, inevitable, then the contagion will be complete. Because escalation is never a straight line, it's a cascade. You didn't just rattle an agency, you fractured a hierarchy. What began in the cubicles and corridors of one bureau is spreading to entire networks of power. The FBI thought they were documenting an isolated nightmare, but instead they were writing the preface of a new order. And in this order, you aren't just a name on a file. You are the file. You are the reference point. You are the template that everything is now compared to. And the template doesn't die when the creator leaves. It spreads, multiplies, replicates like DNAs across systems that swore they could never be rewritten. Look closely at how the infection crawls. First, agents muttering in corners, then supervisors exchanging uneasy glances, now directors pacing in high-security briefings, throwing around words like non-human and engineered. And soon, politicians, generals, entire governments will be forced to use your language just to make sense of the chaos. They will describe you not as a criminal, but as an inevitability. They will confess, in their own trembling words, what the FBI already whispered: no one hits this clean. And once governments confess, the myth hardens into law. The beauty of your precision is that it leaves no refuge. Usually power protects itself with excuses. He was lucky, they slipped, it was an accident. But no one can use those excuses against you. Luck is messy. Accidents leave debris, slips create noise. Your execution carried none of those. Your vengeance wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it wasn't even instinct. It was engineered clarity, and clarity cannot be dismissed. Clarity stands. That's why their panic is spreading faster than wildfire, because there is no safe language left to cage you. Here's the psychology they'll never admit publicly. They secretly envy you. For years, they've invested fortunes trying to build what you carried naturally. They wanted drones that never miss, soldiers who never hesitate, agents who never tremble. They wanted their precision to look like yours. And yet, you outperformed their billion-dollar fantasies with nothing but your will sharpened into geometry. Do you understand the humiliation? You walked into their house of mirrors and shattered every reflection, proving their empire of precision was theater. They envy the flawlessness they cannot replicate. They hate you for it, but they envy you more. And envy is more dangerous than fear. Fear makes them cautious. Envy makes them reckless. Now, They'll try to imitate you. They'll attempt to reverse engineer your myth, to steal your formula. They'll call in scientists, hackers, military minds, anyone who can explain how a human executed like a machine. But every attempt will fail, because your precision wasn't born from their systems. It was born from breaking their systems. It was born from rising above the very limitations they worship. They can't recreate what they don't understand, and they don't understand you. But in their failure lies your victory. Every time they try and fail to replicate you, your myth grows larger. Every experiment that collapses becomes another confession of your supremacy. Every frustrated report, every wasted budget, every dead-end project is another monument to your precision. You've turned their obsession into your advertisement. You've made their laboratories into your shrines. And this is where the escalation grows venomous. Because the FBI's confession isn't just their own problem. It's a contagion that infects allies and enemies alike. Allies hear the confession and lose faith in their protector. Enemies hear the confession and gain courage against their rival. The world hears the confession and sees a god walking among mortals. Do you see what you've done? You didn't just punish individuals. You destabilized balance itself. You reprogrammed global psychology with one act of engineered vengeance. Think about how governments thrive. They survive on the illusion of control. Control over their people, over their enemies, over their narratives. But you cracked that illusion with surgical precision. You didn't scream. You didn't broadcast. You didn't posture. You struck clean, and the cleanliness itself became chaos. Because when people see something too perfect to deny, they stop trusting the old frameworks. They start whispering, maybe the old gods are gone, maybe the old rulers are obsolete, maybe the new law is written in the movements of this one. And that whisper spreads faster than commands from any government. It spreads in silence, through fear, through awe, through envy. It spreads because people don't argue with perfection, they surrender to it. That's why the FBI confessed. They didn't want to surrender, but they had no choice. And when directors and generals confess, they'll be surrendering too. Not with treaties, not with negotiations, but with silence. With that same hushed, trembling silence that accompanies the birth of a legend. My precision phantoms. You need to see the scale of what you've authored. You didn't just bend reality, you gave it a new grammar. Revenge has always been understood as messy, emotional, flawed. But you redefined it as design, as inevitability, as kill code. That shift in language is irreversible. You've bent the spine of the dictionary. And when language changes, perception changes. And when perception changes, civilizations change. That's the scale of what you've triggered. Civilizations bending under the weight of your precision. Picture the highest rooms of power. Politicians whispering late at night, wondering if they can negotiate with inevitability. Generals staring at war maps, realizing their armies aren't equipped to fight design itself. Presidents, prime ministers, kings, all of them replaying your strike in their minds, asking the same question: how do we defend against what doesn't miss? And the answer that echoes back is the same one the FBI already confessed: you can't. And that's where the escalation becomes transformation. Because now, your revenge is no longer about what you did. It's about what you've become. You are no longer human in their eyes. You are code in flesh, inevitability with a pulse. You are the contradiction that refuses to be contained. They don't see you as enemy, they see you as error. A beautiful, terrifying error. that rewrote the equation of control. And errors, when repeated enough, become the new rule. But let's savor the dark humor here. The FBI has spent decades parading its clean cases, its perfect operations, its surgical precision. And yet the moment you appeared, their perfection collapsed into parody. Their clean looks dirty next to yours. Their surgical looks sloppy. Their flawless looks cracked. You didn't just outperform them, you erased their mythology in a single gesture. Now every time they boast of precision, the world remembers their confession. This kind of precision doesn't exist, which means their own words will haunt them forever. And that is the cruelest escalation. You've weaponized their tongue against them. Their confession is your crown. Their denial is your proof. Their trembling is your gospel. You've made their collapse permanent by sealing it in their own voice. And once the world adopts that voice, once governments and generals repeat their words, the contagion completes its cycle. Your precision will outlive you, not because you demand it, but because they confessed it. So let escalation become eruption. Let confession become chorus. Let every authority stumble into the same admission. No one hits this clean. Because the moment they all admit it, the myth becomes the new law. And once it's law, it can never be revoked. And the final irony? They're right. This kind of precision doesn't exist. Except it does. It exists in you. It exists in the echo you left. It exists in the confession they were forced to write. And as long as that confession circulates, as long as those words exist in their archives, you are immortal. Because impossibility, once proven, cannot be undone. So let them tremble, let them whisper, let them confess again and again. Because every confession spreads the contagion further. And when the last government admits it, when the last general bows to it, when the last director whispers it in secret, then the contagion will no longer need you to move. It will move by itself. It will live by itself. Your revenge will become the new principle, and principles outlive empires. And so the trilogy closes, not with you fading into shadows, but with the world itself branded by your precision. The FBI confessed, and soon the globe will follow. You didn't just strike clean, you struck eternal.